We have no public here at this time. Okay. So your minutes are also in your packet? Yeah, your minutes are also in your packet? Yeah. From December 1, which was just our agenda for the for transfer. And you should have one that's November. Everybody see that one? Okay. Yes. Okay, do y'all have November? Yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, yes. So you can either approve them together or separate, your choice.
Motion to approve them together.
Okay. Okay, I'm short one.
And our next portion of business,
You actually have to vote. You said you made all in favor?
all in favor on the approving agenda. Minutes.
Yeah, okay.
So the
Okay. Okay, Jamie, are you ready to introduce our new board member?
Yes, sir. We've got Mr. Sean Beecher here. He's the fire chief of the fire department. He has agreed to come on board with us and continue our mission.
Tracy, I don't know if there's any way to turn the volume up. Hardly hear him.
Okay. It might just be that they have to speak a little louder, but I will try.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might. If this is kind of our run through for the first time, we'll definitely try. May end up having.
Can't hear anything now. I don't know.
Okay, hold up. Hold up. Okay, turning the volume. And I think, let me see if I can scoot a little closer. And I don't know if that's going to help the vision thing. So, okay, just speak a little louder.
All righty. So like I was saying, we're going to bring on Mr. Sean Beechers here with the Whitney Fire Department as a new board member with us to continue our mission and our drive to keep Mountain View on the path here that we've all agreed to continue for our students and our student athletes. So,
okay, you'll need to make a motion to accept him.
yes. No, he doesn't have to. I got all his out of school.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Hear none, so be.
Welcome.
Well, thank you, sir. I hate Carrie's missing all this. She's gonna have a lot of catching up to do.
Well, she can log on if she's in her car.
Oh, and she may.
She could get on Zoom.
I guess because of
Yeah, I mean, I
well,
can
if she's
text.
trying to drive with traffic and all the crazies. I would just her catch up after we mail it through.
Okay, all right.
Our next.
Okay, wait, because I was trying to do that. Tell me who made the motion.
I made a motion.
Okay, Crystal. And who seconded?
Stacy.
Okay, and any nays? Okay. All right, you're in. It's awesome. Okay, Matt, are you ready for your report?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. Again, thank you guys for the opportunity. Welcome to our new board member. Sorry I couldn't be with you tonight. Just a few kind of calendar updates and just kind of keeping you abreast as to new developments, things that are going on as we start the second semester. About 2, 3 weeks into it, a great start to the second semester. We kind of had a recalibration meeting coming out with our staff out of the break, re-emphasizing things we want to focus on from a student expectation standpoint, from a student discipline standpoint, from a policy standpoint, whether it be tardies, whether it be dress code, whether it be cell phone policy. So just really trying to make sure that students understand what the expectations are each and every day. We did put a new policy in place for tardies. We did have a lot of students that were just not getting to school on time or even in the building. We're not getting to class on time. In a building of our size, students not getting to class on time is just unacceptable. So with the policy that we put in place, we've already seen a noticeable difference as far as traffic in the hallways and kids getting to class when they need to. Obviously, we needed to remind the students of the Free to Focus Act from the state regarding cell phones, kind of crack down on that. We've done a good job of that here in the second semester. Again, trying to protect our instructional time with the tardies and also with the cell phones, making sure that because we're on that modified block schedule, that when you got 75 minutes, we take full advantage of every single minute that we can. A lot of big things happening this week. We did send out our notice of intent, or excuse me, intent to return form for our current students, which obviously as a charter school, every student's got to declare their intent each and every year. They have first rights to that seat. So as it stands right now, I sent that form out yesterday. We've got 200 students that have already declared their intent to return. So every student that has submitted that form has said yes to return. We've not had a single no at this point. So that's an exciting thing that of our over 500 students right now, 200 in the first 24 hours of getting that form have already said yes. And like I say, zero no's at this point. Also put out a new initiative that Todd Tracy and myself kind of talked about in the last few weeks. It's called our Parent Ambassador Program, just trying to garner more support from the community. Obviously, with parents being in different parts of Spartanburg County, Greenville County, Union County, Cherokee County, they have a broader reach than we may as far as our social connection or our social network. So gauging interest as far as what parents might want to come on board as a parent ambassador, which would mean basically they come on, they're expected to push the brand, they're expected to push our social medias, they're expected to go out in the community and share our propaganda, share our paraphernalia, share our ideas, share what we do as a school. And sent that out yesterday and already had 16 parents reach out that are interested in being parent ambassadors. Now, we only sent that to seventh, eighth, and ninth grade parents because really that's where our biggest need is in the middle school as far as growing and retaining students. So wanting parents to kind of share their experience, like what was great about your students' experience in the seventh, eighth grade. What would you tell other parents? Going to have a bring a friend to school day. We're looking at putting that on the calendar. So those parent ambassadors will be expected to obviously try to get some kids to come in and attend school with their kid. Now to incentivize it, we've offered some free swag, some MVP gear, free admission to certain games, certain recognition at public events, website recognition, social media recognition. So again, just really trying to grow the brand. And sometimes students are your best advocates, but also parents are your best advocates. Parents who have seen their student come to MVP and succeed. So offering that initiative to them. And again, it's been very well received. I'll probably send another message out to those parents first of the week, to those that were interested, and really kind of nail down what that process is going to look like. But if you know any parents that would love to serve as a parent ambassador, again, really looking at those younger grades, we're trying to probably get maybe 2 or 3 per grade level. We certainly don't want to have 10, kind of water it down at that point. But any parent within those grade levels that's interested in coming on board, we'd love to have their support. Next week, now weather permitting, we do have our National Honor Society induction. This is the first year for our National Honor Society chapter at MVP. Obviously, we did Beta Club last year. We have a Senior Beta Club, Junior Beta Club. We'll do that again later in this spring. Those numbers continue to go up based on the academic achievement of our students. But National Honor Society, this is the first time we've had a chapter within our school, and 58 students have qualified. Now that's 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students. And now the impressive thing about that is these are 58 students that have above a 4.5 GPA, above a 4.5 GPA. So 58 students, 10th through 12th grade, have qualified, and we will induct them into our chapter of the National Honor Society. That ceremony is scheduled for January 28th at Spartanburg Community College downtown, same place we had graduation. We're already looking at some contingency plans with the weather. Our advisor, Tara Burgess, reached out today to SEC to see if there's some dates in the next week where we might be able to move that to. But that's an exciting opportunity that, again, our students have really earned. And anytime you can celebrate students for what they've earned, we certainly want to do that. So Beta Club, a great initial class of Beta Club last year, and that continues to expand. But National Honor Society really just takes it to that next level with that 4.5 GPA. So stay tuned. I've got a calendar of events that we're really trying to nail down, waiting on a few more test dates, but I will actually email it out to the board next week. So you have it. So within this calendar, we've got obviously the Honor Society induction. We've got athletic signing day, which is going to take place February 4th. That's a Wednesday. I think right now we've got about 15 student athletes that are ready to sign their letter of intent to play at the next level. And that's across all sports. We've got golf, we've got softball, we've got baseball, we've got football. Still waiting to see if we've got any basketball, but just again, another exciting opportunity for our students to get a chance to participate at the next level. Within this calendar are other senior meeting dates. We've got a senior meeting coming up on February 5th. This is with all of our seniors. Again, we currently have 62 seniors in our senior class, just making sure that they're doing everything they need to do, stay on track for graduation. We actually implemented a study hall this semester for our senior students that are taking a core class virtually. And reason being, we really want to have eyes on them and be able to track their progress this last semester of their high school career. Some of these students have done well. Some of these students have not done so well. That necessitated the study hall. But here in the first 3 weeks, we've got about 25, 26 seniors in this class. Every single one of them is above progress as to where they're supposed to be in their virtual class. So again, keeping eyes on these. Coach Ramsey and Coach Coco actually lead this study hall. Again, any senior that's taking a core class virtually, some of these are because they didn't qualify for SEC classes. Some of these SEC class didn't fit into their schedule. But obviously, we got to keep them on track to graduate. So that senior study hall has paid dividends already. Students understanding what the expectation is. And again, we'd love nothing more than to have 2 straight years of 100% graduation rate. So the study hall is hopefully going to help us stay on track with that. But that February 5th meeting for seniors will be, again, just making sure we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, making sure every student's ordered their cap and gown, making sure students have done all that they need to do in order to be ready for graduation. Also on this calendar, all of our testing dates, ACT testing, SAT testing, WIN testing. We've got our college fair on that I know Wendy and Tessa have been talking about. That is going to be on March 27th. Wendy, you can step in here. I know we've got at least over 10 colleges, I think, committed to attend already. Is that right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I can get more. Once I get the flyer, I can send it out more.
No, and that's an exciting opportunity. We're actually opening that up to sophomores through seniors. So some of these sophomores, the earlier they can get some of that college information, the better. So that'll be on March 27th. That's a Thursday. Excuse me, that's a Friday. I'm sorry, that's a Friday. We're looking to incentivize that somehow. We've looked at punch cards. Students get a number of punches. They get some kind of gear. They get some kind of gift card, something else. So students will really take advantage of that opportunity. Also on this calendar, our prom, again, we've mentioned that April 18th. It's at the Lodge at Lake Bowen. And we've got EOC dates. We've got our yearbook date. We've got our graduation date, which again is May 14th. That will be at Lake Bowen Baptist, which is a much bigger venue this year than it was last year. At that February 5th meeting, Gary, I know this pertains to a lot of senior parents. How many tickets are you going to get for graduation right now? We're looking at about 8 per graduate. That number could obviously change. We did 10 last year because it was a smaller class. It's a bigger class. We got 62 seniors again, but 8 tickets right now based on the size of the venue. We think that's fair. Obviously, if we need to go up or down, we can do that. And then the last day of school being May 19th. So again, I'll share that calendar with you. And if you have anything that you'd like to add to that, please let me know. As far as where we're at, meeting with all the teachers for Q2 meetings, just making sure that our assessments are in line. We had enough formative, had enough summative assessments, making sure that we've given students enough opportunities to prove that they're understanding the content. And again, part of the proficiency-based model is making sure students have the opportunity to retest, to make corrections, to come in for that extra help on Fridays. Teachers, I'll commend them. They did a great job of utilizing the Fridays in the first semester, making sure that students that were here needed to be here and actually got value added time out of that experience. So all in all, a great first semester, off to a great start here in second semester, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hey, Matt, I'm sure with the college fair, we're going to promote that to parents.
Yeah, of course.
well.
Absolutely.
I mean, with me trying to get colleges here, I really hope we can get the turnout to show up for that. But I also wanted to know in regards to the honors chapter, did all 58 turn in their resume to be accepted into the honor society?
To my knowledge, I think we had 3 students that we were still waiting on paperwork. It's a $20 initiation fee. So I think some we kind of extended that deadline to. I'd have to confirm with Miss Burgess, but I know she did a pretty good job of making sure those students did everything they're supposed to do. I know it's a lot of students were in the lobby this morning and throughout the lunch, making sure that doing what they're supposed to do. So I can't confirm that all 58 will be inducted, but I know 58 were invited. So.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and add this. I know Haley's not with
send it
us.
from my
but-
phone.
I know Haley's not with us, but the High School League did release the new realignment regions. I don't know if y'all been able to see that yet or not. If you have not, I'll go ahead and share it with you. I'm sure you have, but just to clarify our region next year, we are Region 2, 2A. The schools that are in that region are Chesney, Clinton, Greer Middle College, High Point, Landrum, MVP, Southside Christian, and Woodruff. So maybe a little bit more charter friendly of a region with Southside Christian, High Point, and Greer Middle being involved. The good thing is it's an 8-team region. 6 of those teams have football, and so there should not be a bye week within the region play for football. Coach Martin is meeting with the new region ADs tomorrow to line up the football schedule. So again, business is happening quick, and as obviously that information develops, we'll let you know. But so going from a 5-team region to an 8-team region. Travel is really about the same when you get down to it, going from Union to Greenville County. So excited to see those new opponents and see what Region 2, 2A has to offer for our students next year.
Haley did send me a report to read to you.
Okay.
Once, Matt, are you done? Oh, wait.
I'm done if there's no questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
Matt, I appreciate your report, but just one question with us going to that classification. This may be a Haley question. She talks to everybody. Is that going to help us with scheduling JV and maybe helping us out with middle school games now? Or
That's a big question that Haley's going to ask tomorrow.
Okay.
Just looking at the region, I'll go ahead and tell you that a lot of those schools have already said they wouldn't play us. When you look at a Chesney from District 2, you look at a Landrum from District 1. Now, Clinton, being outside of Spartanburg County, remains to be seen. Southside Christian, we know will play sub-varsity. Greer Middle College, we know will play sub-varsity. High Point, they seem to think that they are not a charter school when it comes to these things. So they're not too excited about that. We hope that they come around and change their mind and they will play us sub-varsity. Woodruff obviously will continue to not play us sub-varsity. So getting just a few more opponents in there. Landrum will not play us sub-varsity. So Southside Christian, High Point, Greer Middle College, that's our best hope to get those JV and sub-varsity games right now, unless something drastic changes here in the next few months.
Now, Greer Middle School and High Point do not have football.
No,
Right.
Just all the other sports they do. Mhm.
which will still be fine, and we can still schedule outside of region like we did
Mhm.
St. Joe's and all that, right?
Yeah.
Like we did for JV.
Yeah, and I think now that coaches have seen this, that they know the writing on the wall. They know who they can call and who they need to contact. So I think the sooner they start scheduling, the better. And really, the big issue with scheduling has been football, middle school volleyball, middle school basketball, even C-team baseball. Richie had some struggles, but he's able to build a pretty good schedule for those younger classes. And softball, if it was ever the situation, they've got pretty good connections on that. So really, it comes down to football would be the toughest part to schedule.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'll read Haley's report for you now. Winter sports have entered region play and continue to show strong progress across programs. Boys varsity basketball is having an excellent season, currently holding an 11-6 overall record and 3-1 in region play. Girls basketball continues to improve weekly under first-year head coach Brianna Hines. with noticeable growth in competitiveness and team development. Boys wrestling, led by first-year head coach Carl Reed, is also showing steady weekly improvement. Junior heavyweight Bryson Blanton is currently ranked 7th in his weight class, highlighting the program's upward momentum. Spring sports are presently in the open season phase and have been strong and have seen strong participation numbers during open training season. Official tryouts for spring sports will take place during the first week of February. Additionally, National Signing Day is scheduled for February 4th, with several student athletes expected to sign their aid agreements to continue competing at the next level. Further details will be shared as plans are finalized. Okay. Okie doke.
And that signing day you said was before.
The 4th, February 4th. So please come.
Yeah, no, it was
Please
before.
come. Let me see that. Are you done with this?
Yeah, what
Yeah,
time? What's
I've
that?
got it. Yes, I've got it here. and-
Matt, what time is signing day?
I know she was talking about the time has not been confirmed. We're looking at afternoon time. It's just easier with those upperclassmen and their dual enrollment schedule. So probably looking somewhere around that 1:30 hour. That not been finalized yet, but as soon as it is, we'll let you know. But I would anticipate after 1, probably closer to 1:30.
Okay. Well, we'll get it out to you as soon as she's done that, for sure. Okay, any questions? If not, I'm going to bring Melissa on, okay?
Real quick.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes.
Mr. Petrie, right? I just wanted to get your first one since I can spell it correctly.
Sean, S-H-A-W-N,
Okay.
Petrus, P-E-T-R-A-S.
Thank you. Welcome. Who made, just really quick, on the new member,
Didn't I write it down?
well, it's just Crystal made a motion to.
And to, yeah, to
To add,
accept, to accept. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, Melissa? Okay, everyone, this is Melissa Yutzi. I don't know if you've actually met her, but she is our financial services provider. And she's probably the only person in South Carolina I ever want to work with. And I've seen a bunch of them. So, and she's been around in about 15 years in charter school world.
Yeah.
About that. And how many
It's
schools?
crazy. I can't believe it's been 15 years. You
It
said
has.
that the other day, and I'm just like, wow.
I know,
Time
right? 'Cause I was
flies.
in charter school district when y'all first started. How many schools do you serve?
We're probably over 40-ish now. We do audits as well as back office accounting. The majority of our clients are the back office accounting, outsourced accounting piece. So yeah, I think we're hovering around the 40-ish mark, and it kind of
Okay.
grows each year with new schools, new applicants.
Yeah. So she is going to go through our audit first. Basically, what happens is they do our accounting, and then they prepare our information to go to the auditor, which is Martin Smith. And so we got our audit, and you don't have the audit. What you have there is the financials. She's going to pull the audit up and go through it with you. We didn't have any findings. Yay. Melissa, you are now the host.
Okay, let me pull the audit up here and share
And the
that.
audit is in the Dropbox as well, guys.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
And can you see the report?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So when you first look at the audit, it can look pretty overwhelming. It's a 40-page document. Within this 40-page document, it's a lot of duplicate information. So I'm going to kind of point to the big pieces, what you guys want to know, what you guys care about, and then talk a little bit about how some things might look a little bit different as you go forward with the bond that has closed. But please feel free to ask any questions. I started this process auditing schools, so I'm familiar with the financials and can answer anything that you have in here related to the layout or how this looks. One of the biggest things you care about is when you come into the auditor's report is their opinion. So the whole point of this audit is to get an opinion on your financial statements. And this looks like a pretty big report. The paragraph you actually care about is like this second paragraph up here where it talks about your opinion. And it says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. That is the best opinion you can get. So that means it's an unmodified, unqualified audit. There's no, if there's an issue with someone's audit, it could be a modified opinion or it could be a disclaimer of opinion. And there's all kinds of, could be some negative connotations with that. So your opinion is exactly what you want. And so the rest of these things in the letter here is just things that they're required to tell you about, the responsibilities of management, their responsibilities and so forth. But what you want is a fair opinion, and that is what you received. The next kind of section of the financial statements is called Management's Discussion and Analysis. This is just a required part of the financials, and this is data that is all throughout your financial statements. So it's kind of like a synopsis that the school is giving to the reader of the financial statements. So I'm going to skip down to the actual financial statements and explain a little bit what these look like. So your actual financial statements start on about page 9 of the PDF. And when you first look at this, you see a lot of statements in the file. There are basically 2 sets of financial statements that we report on. So anytime you have an audit and you have a governmental audit, you have what's called a government-wide financial statement. And I'm going to try not to get too technical, but I am going to throw a few things out. So please ask if you have questions. Your government-wide financial statement is what I call full accrual. So it has all of the assets. It would have your building on there. It would have all of your debt. It would have the buses. It would have any kind of long-term agreement or situation that's happening with the school on the balance sheet. And that's typical. So if any of you guys are business owners or you're on other, boards and have nonprofits and things like that, that is the normal thing that you see. You see a balance sheet that usually has cash, it has receivables, it has fixed assets, it has debt, and so forth. Then you also have another set of financial statements in here, and it's called your fund financial statements. And your fund financial statements is more on what I call a modified cash basis, and it's short term. So on that financial statement, you are not going to see any assets. You are not going to see any debt. There's other things that, may go in or may come out depending on, and it all comes to the time period. It all has to be in a short-term time period. And this is the reason why I'm laying all of this out is because your bond is going to close this year and you're going to get a set of audited financials, and your financials are going to look a little strange because you're going to look at the fund financials and be like, what am I looking at? There's all these numbers everywhere. This doesn't make sense. And so that's why I'm trying to explain, lay a little bit of groundwork of, you have 2 sets of financials. They're both going to report things a little bit differently. Overall, just big picture, MVP is doing very well. So first year out the gate, that did well. We're trending well in 2026. But the bond can kind of skew and make the numbers look a little bit differently. And I'm going to explain a little bit more on that here shortly. Any questions so far? So when you're looking at your financials, the first 2 statements, that's the government-wide, that's the full accrual. This tells you that your total assets was about $14.2 million as of June 30, 2025. You had liabilities of 14.6. So we have liabilities in excess of our assets, which does bring us to a negative net position. That is not surprising with being the first year. And then the reason why this is in here is because they're the lease component that is reported on your financials. So you guys didn't have the building yet. You hadn't secured the bond. But when you look at your financials, you see this capital assets of 14 million and this long-term liability of 12 million. And that's associated with the lease that you guys had. And it's just required information that goes in the financial statements. This is going to look differently next year because you're going to actually own that asset and it's not a lease piece. So,
But let me ask you a question
Sure.
then, because they probably wouldn't know this. Because we did pay a month and a half of rent still before the bond closed, are we going to see that in this next year?
You'll see the rent expense as an expense on your P&L, but you won't have any balance sheet impacts associated with the lease anymore. All of that will go away.
Okay.
So the next page in here is your statement of activities, basically kind of like a profit and loss. It's not laid out the best. It kind of starts off with expenses over here at the side, and then your revenue is sitting beside it, charge for services and sales and operating grants. That's where the bulk of the revenue is. And then down below, it'll do some other items. So it doesn't flow quite like what you would think, but this is basically your P&L associated with the government-wide financials. And in this, we had just shy of 6 million of revenue when it came to the grants and the base funding and all of that coming through. And then we had about 6.3 million in expenses. And then down at the bottom, our change in net position was a negative 266,000 for the year.
And Melissa, again, because I want to kind of insert the conversations we've had, we talked about how our first year when we were opening counted in this because we didn't have an audit, right? So some of
Correct.
those expenses were from day one before we actually ever started getting money.
So, and you can see that when you're looking at this statement, you see this net position beginning of year, and it starts out of a negative 146,000. That is all of that startup expenses, and that's coming through. And again, very common for a first year school. Like this is exactly what the financials typically look like on a first year school, because you do have to invest a good bit to get going and get started in that first year.
Yeah, and we bought the buses before school started.
Correct. Yeah. So moving down, now you'll see another balance sheet. This is the governmental funds. And this is what I was talking about, your second set of financials. And this is the fund financials. And this is more so on cash basis. There are some accruals in here. But you'll see there's no fixed assets. There's no debt. So this balance sheet kind of is a little bit more simple to look at. And, of course, coming down, the piece that I like to look at is my fund balance. And so this is a key section down here. This fund balance section is, there is a requirement for you all to maintain 1 month's fund balance going forward. You were not required to do this in year one. You are exempt in year one. In year two, going forward, it's a requirement of the South Carolina Department of Education that you maintain 1 month's fund balance. Right now, we're negative. So our fund balance is a negative 80,067. It is very possible once we close this year that you guys will continue to be negative. At the moment, I don't know where those numbers are going to land because you still have bond components that are filtering through. We're still drawing down on our project fund. And this is where I was trying to say, like, your financials could look a little off next year because of the bond coming through. And what I've been telling Tracy is if this ends up being a negative number next year and it's very possible you could have a finding in your financial statements. However, that finding, I don't want to say doesn't matter. It's a technicality because you close on a bond so early in the life of the school. So normally when you close on a bond, or most of my clients, when they close on a bond, the school has been in existence for several years. And when you're in existence for several years, you have time to build reserves, you have time to build equity and a fund balance. And so when you close on that bond, it doesn't impact your bottom line as much. And so the one thing that's happened, and you've probably seen this on your monthly financials, you kind of see that section down at the bottom that says other income and expense. And there's, these really big numbers of like $1.2 million. That is your bond closing costs. So I think it was a little over $1 million of where when you closed this bond, you had to pay various people. You had to pay attorneys. You might have had a discount or something like that on the bond. Like there's all of these folks that went through that you had to pay. And yes, the bond paid it. So the school didn't physically pay that money. The loan paid the money. But what happens in your financials is they become expenses in your financials, and they all hit in the very first year. So it used to be that we could capitalize and amortize that out over the life of your loan. We're not allowed to do that anymore. They changed those rules several years ago. And so it makes financials look worse than what they really are. And that's why, I wanted to communicate this to you guys. So if you guys have questions and we can talk through it, if those things flow through, the auditor can do one of two things. The auditor can document and kind of state all of this and not necessarily issue you a finding, or they can strictly say, hey, you haven't met your 1 month fund balance, and they can issue a finding and we can have a response to that. If the finding does show up and it is related to all of this, what I want to communicate to you is it's not, I should say it's not a big deal. Like it's not going to raise a flag at the district. It's not going to raise a flag at the South Carolina Department of Education because it is tied to something good. You were able to secure a building, you were able to secure facilities to sustain the growth. And as long as you are showing all the other metrics where they need to be, and you're having surpluses and you're budgeting well and you're meeting your covenants, it's not going to cause a problem. We just have to kind of dig out of that hole from the initial bond cost. And I know I just said a whole lot, and I'm sorry if it's a lot of detail, but does anybody have any
So,
questions
hey,
on that?
Melissa, is it going to make a difference if our bond doesn't pay out all of the money prior to June 30th?
What's going to
Does that
make a
make any
difference? So, and the why I was kind of asking you with the project fund, because I know you said the gym isn't quite ready. And I
It
don't
will
know
be after
when.
June 30th before.
Yeah, so if
two
that's going to
extra
be
days.
after June 30th, what's going to happen is this coming year may show a really big surplus. And the reason, so let me flip to the next page. The reason why it might show this is when we go to do your audit at the end of this year. Why is this not going to the next page? Yeah, wait, one more page. Okay. So this page that I have up is kind of like your P&L, your statement of revenue, expenditures, on fund balance. And when we do this next year, that loan that you guys closed on, which at the moment I can't remember the total, is going to show up as revenue on this statement. Which seems weird, but it's going to show up as proceeds from notes. It's going to look like revenue. It's going to look like income. And then your expenses are going to be everything that you're paying out of that project fund or any expenses associated with it. So if that bond doesn't pay out, let's just say it doesn't pay out 5 million. Let's say there's 5 million left. It's going to look like you have 5 million of income next year. But then the following year, when you pay all that out, you're going to have 5 million in loss. And so it's going to skew the numbers a little bit crazy while you're working through your bond piece. And it doesn't cause a problem. Nobody's going to be like, people are used to seeing this. The district is used to seeing this. The auditors are used to seeing it. But I know for you all, you guys haven't seen it. And so, I wanted to make sure that you were aware, that it just looks a little bit different and not to panic. So Tracy, if you don't pay out the stuff for the gym this year, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a big surplus sitting on our fund basis, and we're not going to have a finding this year. But then the following year, we're going to have a massive deficit because all of the stuff of the gym is going to come out, but we already recognize the loan.
Yeah. Okay.
Guess questions on any of that?
Okay. If there's no more questions about the audit, can you switch to the financials so we can talk about that? And that is what you have right here. So I have asked Melissa to make some changes to how you look at that. Okay. So one of the things I asked her to do was the last view you got, you saw the bond in the money up here on your unrestricted cash, which I don't really understand why that's unrestricted because we can't spend it. It's sitting in an account that is restricted, but it seems as non-restricted. So that was one of the changes I made. And then the other things Melissa and I talked about is, and I don't know if they're reflected in this one because this was like last night when we were talking about it, is to show the payments for the buses that you all had asked about. And if it's not in this one, it'll be in the next one.
Yeah. So where the payments for the buses are, can you still see my screen? Just making sure.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Where the payments for the buses are right now are on the balance sheet. So, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger just in case you guys need that. But
Please.
You have multiple note payables here for each of the buses. So we have a line item for each of the bus. And as you guys make payments, we take the interest portion, we put the interest to the profit and loss statement, and then anything that you're paying down on principal reduces this loan balance. So for this past month, you can see we made a payment of $3,780 of principal against this loan. So it went from $38,700 to $34,900. What I explained to Tracy is if you all as a board don't want this on your balance sheet and you would rather see it in your profit and loss and have a principal payment, we can definitely do that. We can move that. And so then what would happen is the notes, the loans on the balance sheet would just stay the same all year. So it would just stay the same until June 30th. And then once we close for audit, anything that we paid on principal would then reduce that. And so July 1 would start with your new balance, and then it would just stay the same the whole year. And the principal payments would be reflected in the P&L and in the budget to actual. Either way is fine. So, honestly, putting the principal payments to the P&L is fund basis. Putting principal payments to the balance sheet is government-wide basis. So that's kind of like one of the differences between the two bases of accounting. So right now, this is sitting in your balance sheet. But if you want that moved, we can definitely do that on the next set of financials. And that's up to you guys.
Okay.
I think it's a lot more understandable.
Okay.
It's on there on the balance sheet. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. Okay. Can you go to the P&L then?
Sure.
And, kind of talk to them about, because we talked about, can you explain to them, how it works for deferred money?
Yes.
Like
Okay.
our,
Before I
so-
flip to the P&L, when
Right.
the deferred revenue, I will show you on your balance sheet, you guys have a line item called deferred revenue. What deferred revenue is in general is you've received cash, but you haven't actually spent it for the purpose that you need to. And this is CTE money in particular that we're talking about. So you haven't recognized the revenue. So what happened last year in last year's audit, you guys received, and Tracy, you probably know the dollar amount off the top of your head. But let's say you received 150,000 of Kate money and you spent 50,000 of it, but you didn't spend the other 100. That 100,000 got deferred into your balance sheet, so it's a liability. And then as the school spends it this year, we get to release it into revenue. So what you see on the balance sheet is the deferred piece. And then down below, as we file claims for the CTE, we start releasing the revenue. And so that's what you see here in this line item, career and technology education. So we did claims of 44,000 in the month of December, bringing us to a total of 103,000 for the year. So that is deferred revenue that we have released this year. The plan is to use everything that you deferred last year, and which actually, now that I think about it, I think you told me it was 175,000. So the plan is to use that full 175,000 on Kate expenses this year, and we'll take that out of deferred revenue and we'll put that on your P&L. And then any Kate money received this year that you guys don't spend this year and you want to kick to next year, will go back into that deferred bucket.
and the reason we did that, guys, is when it started out as 150, but we had y'all weren't here when we kind of started it, except Jamie. We had developer money. Crystal was here, and so the developer had bought us a lot of FF&E equipment that we had bought, and then when we were going to go to the bond, what we did was hang on to that so it showed as cash in the bank for the bond, because cash is king. And so as soon as we rolled over to July, then and our bond had closed in August, then we started spending the money. So we've actually spent everything except $18,000 at this point. So the next month you're going to see that number almost, it'll be like $20,000. So we'll spend the rest of that $20,000 in the next couple of months here, because we're going back and forth on what we're ordering there. And all this time, we are actually getting this year's money, because it comes per month in our allocation. After we get through last year's money that rolled this year, then we'll look at when we start spending the next money, right? So one of the reasons that I'm kind of holding off on spending this year's money that we're getting now in this calendar year is because we have no idea what our money's going to look like next year when we roll over to the charter school district. And we've got all these new classrooms that are needing equipment that we have some money in the bond for, but I really was trying to hang on to this EIA year's money to make sure that those classrooms have everything that we need, because they're all new classrooms and we want to make sure that happens correctly. So it helps us with cash on hand. And then it'll give us time to make better choices on what we offer. Because we could next year get $25,000. We have no idea. Because once we get in the mix with the charter school district, we don't know what their allocation is going to be like. And right now we're lucky and we get a lot of money because there's only 3 of us at Limestone that have CTE programs that gets us any money. Orangeburg Health Sciences, Horse Creek, and us. And so they get 300 something thousand. So they just split it 3 ways. That's not happening next year. And I'm not exactly sure how they calculated at the charter school district. So that's why we're really kind of hanging on to this year's, which we got 106 this year. Now we get that per month. So you're not getting all 106. So, but by the time we get to June, we will have accumulated in our bank account at the end for that cash on hand, the 106 that we got from the state. And then as soon as we roll over to July and in the new building, we will start spending it. And then by the time we spend that, we'll see what we get from the charter school district. But we won't know what we get from the charter school district until school's already started, because we're not theirs yet. So they're not going to know what that's going to be yet. Okay.
I've got a question.
Yes, absolutely.
Melissa,
Yeah.
on the budget to actual paperwork, I don't see the bus payments on here.
No, that's what I was just saying. They're probably not on this one.
Yeah.
I'm good. She's going to move them there next.
On this one right here.
Yeah, she's going to move them there next month because
Okay.
we didn't talk about
Yeah.
that till last
Okay.
night. So
On this month, they're sitting on the balance sheet, but on next month,
They'll be in
we'll
your-
move the entire year. So all of the payments will move in the month of January,
So
and
on
it'll
this
be
one that
added
says
to there.
budget to actual, there's not even, so we didn't even account for the 50,000 for the payments.
on your balance sheet you did, but not in your budget to actual. Yes, we'll move that over. Right. And so when you're in a little bit, you're going to approve the amended
Okay.
budget for the 45-day count. And I've put those in the bottom so you can see those. Okay. Melissa, sorry.
So some of the other changes we talked about was, let me scroll down a little bit. We moved the interest expense associated with the building into your facilities section. So in the month of December, wait, what's your bank? It's not US Bank, UMB.
Yeah,
I always
UMB.
want to say US Bank. UMB did pay their first round of payments. Included in those payments is a capitalized interest portion, and then there's a piece that gets pushed to your profit and loss. So that's what you're seeing here, this $252,000. By the end of the year, I expect it to be around $850,000 for this year. So this line item is moved and in a new spot. And then the other piece that I wanted to point out is this other income of $219,000, which the bulk of that is really interest income, because your bond accounts are in interest bearing items. And so you get to collect that interest, but that interest, you can't use it for whatever purpose you want. It's going to be in these accounts. It's going to be restricted. Eventually you can use it for principal payments or you can use it for interest payments. So you guys currently do not budget for that. And that's fine. That's not a problem. The nice thing is, even though you can't use the interest, it still helps you with your debt service coverage ratio. So it still counts as part of your debt service coverage ratio, even though we can't really touch it like regular cash. But that was another one. I moved that out. It used to be in the top section of your financials. And Tracy asked if we could just move this down. And so this section down here was kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it's all tied to the bond. So you can see these are some of the costs that went through the bond, and it was about just shy of 1.2 million of bond issuance costs to secure that bond. And that those look like expenses for the school, and that's why I said, it can look deceiving. The loan paid for it, but it makes it look like you guys paid for it.
Hey, can you explain to them debt coverage ratio?
Sure. So the debt service coverage ratio, what that means is if you're looking at your bottom line and the 708,000, you have to be able to cover your debt service and then it's plus some. So your particular ratio is 1.1. Others can have 1.15 or 1.2, but yours is 1.1. And so what I do to calculate this is I take a look at this net income. I get to add back any interest or any debt service. So I can add back that 232,000 that we looked at earlier, or 252. And then I also can add back anything that you guys spend that's capitalized. So, and I know you guys probably have a capitalization policy of individual items greater than 1,000, bulk purchases greater than 10,000. And so, I know you guys bought computers this year. Let's say it was a $40,000 purchase. We can capitalize that. I can factor this into the debt service ratio so it doesn't count against you. So what happens is you take that income and we have to make sure that we can cover the debt service for the entire year and then plus that 1%. So what it's kind of telling you is you always have to have a surplus each year. And that surplus is usually sitting somewhere between 150 to 250,000 each year, every year to cover this debt service coverage ratio. And that's where, you guys are going to build reserves and you're going to, be able to, your equity and all of that's going to kind of bounce back from those bond issuance costs that we were talking about. But that is a covenant that has to meet, it resets every year, which is a little bit different than your days cash on hand. You guys have a days cash on hand covenant and you can use your cash from year after year after year. So it accumulates. And so whatever your total cash is year after year after year, you get to use in that calculation, whereas the debt service ratio is for that year and time. And so that we have to make sure we meet that each year. And I don't know, when you go over the budget, I don't know if you, Tracy, you have the one. I put the debt service coverage calculation on your guys' amended budget, but I didn't get that to Tracy until like 5 o'clock this afternoon. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll do that
I don't know if you're going to see it or not.
Yeah, we'll do that one next time.
But it helps
Because
to
then-
give a
because
visual to understand kind of what I'm saying. And right now, I think your budget is sitting at like a 1.25 or 1.3, your amended budget, but it doesn't have this interest in here, which means you're really going to be higher than that 1.1 or that 1.25.
Yeah. So cash on hand and the debt, the ratio is what I go to sleep worried about and wake up worried about, just because it's important. It's really, really, really important, right?
It is. It is. If you violate your covenant, which I have had a couple schools do, the one school was able to get an exemption because they had a unique situation. The other school had to go through some pain points with their investors to figure out, why did they blow their covenant and what happened and how they're going to fix it. And it can result in additional funds. So it could result where an investor requires you guys to contract with someone and do different things. But you guys are sitting really good. I already told Tracy I have no concerns about you guys hitting your debt service ratio this year. The numbers look really strong, and definitely not concerned about the debt service coverage ratio. But we do have to look at it every year, and we have to budget for it every year.
Anybody else have any questions? That was a lot, y'all. I know, I'm sorry, but it's important that y'all understand that. Okay. And Melissa's always welcome, and she'll always come anytime that we want her to go through the details of these things.
Yes. Happy to go over the
particularly-
financials anytime. Also happy at some point if you guys are doing a board retreat and would like a financial presentation, we do those as well.
Yes,
I
we
know it's a
definitely
lot
wanna
of information to throw at you really fast at 7:30 at night.
Yeah. Okay, hang out. Okay. And the budget that you guys all have, the one I gave you here. So this is based on our 45-day count. You get 2 pay periods, you get 45-day, well, we get 3. We get a 5-day count, a 45-day count, and a 135-day count. And what they do is they're looking at what students you have and what the demographics of those kids are. And so your money changes every time. What's important for those who were here last year, if you remember, I kept telling you when we're holding bills until January comes, because our payment from last year went up $120,000 a month, because for all of our kids, we were not getting fully funded because we'd not had a 45-day count and we were a brand new school. Then we got it. Now this year, the difference is that we are getting paid for the demographics, and that means pupils in poverty, whether they're English second language or academic assistant kids. We are getting paid for the kids we had last year. We are not getting paid for the kids that we have that were new. So because you don't know that to your 45 days. So again, coming in January, what we're going to see is we'll have an increase. It won't be like last time because it's only going to be for 103 kids. Is different. So we'll see a little increase in July and in January, but nothing like we had last time. We won't ever do it. And so that's what's crazy about how the state funds new charter schools. So you take a school and you give them the least amount of money for the first 6 months, 7 months of their life. And then you finally give them the money. So we're past that. But for the next 3 years, we will have this situation where we're adding 100 kids. And so we'll see that money come back. Now, what I did here is I took Melissa's, I redid all this and made it look exactly like Melissa's financial reports that she sends us, right? So when you read this now, it'll be much easier for you to understand apples to apples. So when you get the budget to actuals next time, they'll be across the board. And so there's not a ton of difference. I did add what the bus loans are, what we've paid up to what they will be, what we'll have paid for the year. Just to add that to it, and I added that at the top as one number. But we will see a small increase of about $20,000 to $25,000. There was a screw up at the State Department with the 45-day count, and luckily the charter school district caught it, and the whole state benefited from that. And so, but we don't exactly know what our increase will be, but it'll be around 20 to 25,000. So that's why we'll always redo our budget after the 45-day count. And then we'll do this again in April when we get 135 days. And then we'll turn around right after that and do next year's budget.
Where
Okay.
is the revenue that we got for the 45-day count? Is it right? What is Title II?
So no, so what that is your base student cost, right?
Mhm.
So when we do these, when we do your budget, like when Melissa and I work on the budget, we're given a number by the limestone that says, okay, all of your kids are going to be, and I think it's 4364. And they're going to say, we're going to times that by each one of those kids.
Mhm.
And then when you finally have a 45-day count, now we're going to add that into it. So that's what I'm saying. So you're going to look, so all together, what we're going to see, and I put it in here already. So I've added the increase of that expected 150,000 from January to June.
Mhm.
And then comes July, then we're back to, we got new kids and we don't have all the money. Okay. So, yeah, and it depends on, do you lose kids? Did you gain kids? So, and the reason that 135 is important is that, you're hoping you don't lose kids, you're hoping you gain some.
I was just wondering what
E-rate is your money you get for technology from the federal government that runs through the state,
Okay.
and for the and to pay for your internet, to pay for stuff. Now, on that note, just let me say this about that. The E-rate we have right here is just the internet stuff. We get a partial reimbursement for internet. This coming up year, we're going to get about $140,000 from E-rate, because every 5 years you go through a cycle.
Mhm.
That $140,000 is what we're using to do the new buildings. So, which is really good timing. Really good timing. I was like super excited about that. So we're not having to take that out of our bond cost, nor SS&E or anything. So that really worked out well for us.
And you had Title II, Cape Perkins, VIA, and I guess that's all.
So
Right.
Title II is your federal money for teacher improvement.
Mhm.
You never get a whole lot about that. And have we heard if that's going away or not? Because there was such talk about it going away.
I have a federal programs meeting tomorrow.
Okay,
so I'll
let me
you
know. Because we might lose that. Your Perkins money is for CTE only, and that's your federal money. So next year, if we add a new CT program, then we can use it for salary. This year, it's equipment. Your EIA money is state money that is outside of the base student cost that we get, and that is determined by your district. So you'll see the 176 in here is because we are spending that in this budget. And then IDEA special ed money, which we got $20,000 less this year than we did last year, although we didn't lose any kids. So it all depends on how many kids are in the district, how many schools there are, and how they distribute the money at the district level. So we're hoping, like last year, we get this other call. Have you got anything? Any extra money? That we get that, hey, there's some extra money like we did last year, which was about $20,000. Yes.
EIA is the biggest,
Yes.
is the biggest portion.
And that's the one I'm telling you, we have no idea what we'll get next year. Now, the other thing I want you to know is the P&I grant, that's our startup. And that we're done. After this year, we're done. So that's a big chunk. It's $250,000 a year that you're buying equipment and whatever. So, and I also want you to realize that I added something that, Melissa, if you could please add, is the bond reimbursements, is because there's been several things that we have bought that's going to show on our P&L that we actually did get reimbursed from the bond already out of our FF&E, like all that limestone stuff. So we've already got that back. Some irrigation for the baseball field. So I put that as revenue to show so it doesn't screw up my number at the bottom. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Feel free to ask. I live and breathe this every day.
I was just curious, it's not directly related to the budget per se, but like how many students do we get coming in January? Do you have like a count?
You know what? I will tell you this, and what's sad is for everyone you lose, you get. For
Right.
everyone you get, you lose, right?
Yeah.
So we're probably going to be only about 3 or 4 kids to the better. Just because some kids at that point, it
Right.
just wasn't the right for them.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know what I mean? And so like Maria tells me that every day, you know, she's like, we got 2, but I got to take 2 out. So
Okay.
yes.
Which is
Yeah. I know, for sure. And what you typically get there in and out is high school, not middle school, because they can, because their semester class is not. I still have 2 or 3 kids though right now are thinking about coming and working on getting their paperwork together to come on over, because they're high school, they can do it.
right.
Okay, we need to approve this so that Melissa can change the financials for next month to show to be based on the 45-day count.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. Crystal, make that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Anybody else?
I'll say.
Okay. Okay. Any nays? Okay. And it passes. So Melissa, if I'm going to send this back to you tomorrow morning, and then if you will give it to Dan to do our next financials.
Yep.
Okay.
I just pinged him of the few things that we just talked about and said, approved budget will need updated. So
Okay.
can do that.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions for Melissa?
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, Melissa. Hey, can you make me the host back?
Oh, yeah. You don't want me to just disconnect and
Yeah.
I gotta remember how to do this because
I got it. Wait, I just saved
Did
which
you
one
get
to
it?
host.
Did you take it?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye. Have a good night.
Okay. Okay, what's the next one you do?
Facilities.
Oh,
Oh, no, hang on. I'm working on, approval of the updated P&I budget.
you know what? I'm gonna have to pull that up. Let me do a quick facilities that, and while y'all are discussing in that, I meant to
Okay.
pull that up.
So
and I
we'll go
didn't.
back to it.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I've got the approved one. I need to send it to y'all. And actually, this is just kind of a going through the motions because we have to do it. But we're done with our money. But I had to move a little bit of things. Facility. So we had a pre-con meeting today, and that is with Spartanburg County, and that is where the civil engineers was here, the grading guys, the contractor were all here, and they met with the county because we do now have our land disturbance permit. Took a little longer than we thought. like a whole lot longer than we thought, but okay. The grading guy tells me he's bringing his equipment up and he's going to be knocking down trees on Saturday. He tells me it doesn't matter. It tells me it doesn't matter if it is snow, ice, whatever. He's got a great big old huge machine and he's going to start knocking down trees. And then we're off to the races. So the first things you're going to see happen with him taking down the trees is also the baseball lights are supposed to be up Wednesday, Thursday, as we need them absolutely on the 2nd. And then they'll do the dugouts. And then they start all the grading. It'll take him about 2 weeks to take all this down. And then they will come in and do all the storm drainage. County
Who's doing
comes
the
in.
grading? Who's doing that? Is it like
Same guy
somebody-
that did the same thing out here. His name's Brian, but I can't tell you his last name. I have to think.
I was
about
just curious.
it. And then after they get all the storm drainage in and they've, graded it all, and they lay the concrete. So we're one step away from the start line there. And yeah, it's a lot. Okay. And I'll pull up this budget here in a minute. We'll do that afterwards. But you have in your hand here the new contract that was proposed for the charter school district. So we actually, because it's a contract, we need to go into executive session to discuss that. So you need a motion for executive session.
Make the motion to go into executive session.
I need to charge it. I'm like, I'm not doing well here.
There's nobody on with the public in, right?
No, certainly, that's good. I need a charger because my computer now is about to die. Okay,
What kind do you, will this work?
I'll get one.
Here, I got one.
Should. I should have one right over there. Okay. So,
Is the record off?
correct. Very good. Very good. Good job. Don't worry about it, sweetie. I'll get it. I'm going to just stop the recording and then I'm going to restart it. Oh, I can pause it.